The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Hello. Good evening and welcome to Damn You Hollywood. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna, and joining me, Mr. Zachary Strobel. What's up, Doc?
That's all, folks. I mean, hi.
Yeah, it's not that's all, folks. We're just freaking starting. If we cut this show that short, I think Mark will kill us. And hello to RetroCat1930, also saying, what's up, Doc? So, fun story. My husband had surgery about 2 months ago. And I was going to go home and wait for them to call me, but we got hit with a freaking ice storm shortly after we arrived at the hospital. And I was like, there is no way in hell I'm driving through this. So thankfully, this hospital had a really nice waiting room with those really nice, they're not like full recliner chairs, but they're kind of recliners. You know what I mean? So I took a nap in one of those, and the doctor came out and woke me up, shook me awake, and I wasn't trying to be clever. I wasn't even thinking. I'm like pulling myself out of my stupor, and I go, "Oh, what's up, Doc?" It took me about 5 minutes to realize, oh God, did I actually say that?
It's like something I would do.
I know. It's just I wasn't even thinking, but yeah, I mentioned that to Mark when he texted me to check on Andre because I told him what we were doing and I told him what happened. He writes back, yeah, of course you did that. So, yes, if you can't tell by all of those little subtle hints, we are talking The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. And it's kind of fun because I don't think a lot of people realize this is the very first full-length, fully animated feature Looney Tunes film. Now, they've had feature films before. You know, we had Space Jam, we had Looney Tunes Back in Action, and before that we had like the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie, and the Looney Bugs Bunny movie, and what was like 1001 Rabbit Tales or something
And
like that.
Quackbusters.
I'm sorry?
Quackbusters.
And yeah, Daffy Duck, Quackbusters, that is a staple of mine, Halloween. But of course, those either combined animation with live action, or they were essentially clip shows. Warner Brothers did this thing quite a bit throughout the 60s and 70s. This was, of course, a time before Looney Tunes were not, obviously before streaming. Home media was not really a thing yet. So this was kind of a good way for a lot of people to see some of their favorite shorts all at once.
On the big screen.
On the big screen, very true. RetroCat says, I just got out of the movie this very second, so perfect timing. So loony that it's merry. Good word use. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first feature-length, fully animated, non-clip show Looney Tunes movie. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Made by Warner Brothers Animation and distributed by Ketchup Entertainment, because Warner Brothers apparently decided they didn't want anything to do with this, and we will be getting to that and to the recent controversies with Warner Brothers, but we're going to talk about this movie first. So this is directed by Pete Braungart and written by a lot of people, actually. The written by has got like a really long
it would be
list.
easier to just talk about who didn't write this movie.
Yeah, us. Written by, okay, I'm going to have to try to go through. Written by Derek Bachman, Pete Braungart, Ken Costello, Andrew Dickman, David Jamil, and, sorry, what?
Nothing.
Alex Kerwan. If I'm mispronouncing any of these names, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Ryan Kramer, Jason Riker, Michael Rocco, Johnny Ryan, Eddie Trigueros, starring Eric Bauza, Candy Milo, and Peter McNichol. Those of you who are Looney Tunes fans, you know the name Eric Bauza. He is currently the voice of the Looney Tunes. He has been handled the mantle after the tragic passing of Joe Lasky, who I think was like the last main Looney Tunes voice actor that we had for quite some time. He was the main voice for a lot of the Looney Tunes shorts. I know he did Baby Looney Tunes in the Duck Dodgers series.
Yeah,
he was the voice of Plucky
too.
Duck in Tiny Toons. So
yeah, Jeff Bergman, who did it for quite like he was like I think he was I think it's like a mix between Eric Bauza and Jeff Bergman, because right after Mel passed away, like in the early 90s, Jeff took over, and then he disappeared for some while, but then he, like, in the 2010s, he started coming back. Yeah. So I think they're trying to, like, not make, like, an official voice for all the Looney Tunes, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone could really replace Mel Blanc.
No one ever could.
Not even Chuck Norris. Yeah.
That was, never mind. But no, Eric Bauza has been doing the voice of almost all of the Looney Tunes, especially on the Looney Tunes cartoons that are still streaming on HBO Max. Mark Radulich and I reviewed those series. We talked about the animation, the voice acting. I actually complained a little bit about the animation because I felt that it didn't have a standard. I thought that it's like they were trying, obviously, to invoke Bob Clampett's more rubber hose style, and that's great. But a lot of parts of, like, I felt that they got a little too out of control with it. Does that make sense? It just felt like they were going a little too loose with some of the styles.
Yeah. I like I really like the background work on that. Like, I know it was all done in a computer, but I like that they were trying to make it look like it was hand drawn, because all the cartoons were done by hand. Like, so I like how they were trying to do that, and I kind of liked it. I liked that show because I feel like it was a alternate reality if Bob Clampett was still alive and he just never got fired from Warner Brothers and he just kept making cartoons. We'll talk about that a little later, but.
So this was supposed to be originally released on HBO Max, and short version, Warner Brothers was about to kind of pull the plug with it, a la Coyote versus Acme. And we'll talk more Coyote versus Acme after the review, but realized that the directors and the staff had kept this movie's budget so low that even doing a tax write-off, they weren't going to make anything. This show, like, again, we got Eric Bauza and Peter McNichol, but this movie is not bursting with big name celebrities like a Disney or DreamWorks project. The 2D animation kept the budget low because there was no there was little touches of CGI added for effects, but this wasn't made with computers. So they decided to shop it around. It was originally supposed to be released on HBO Max and the Acme Night block on Cartoon Network. The film, however, premiered at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival on June 11, 2024, before having a limited release in the U.S. on December 13th by Ketchup Entertainment, before expanding wide on March 14, 2025. If you have not seen advertising for this film, it's because, again, Warner Brothers basically gave it to Ketchup, bought the rights for it, and Warner Brothers did not ask for a lot for this. And Ketchup Entertainment, God bless them, they're a very small company. They took out as many ads as they could, but this has not seen a lot of advertising, not a lot of push. I took my aunt to see this, and she was like, "There's a new Looney Tunes movie? What do you mean there's a new Looney Tunes movie?" She had not seen a single advertisement. She had not seen a poster, a print ad, a commercial, nothing.
Yeah. But you gotta give Ketchup Entertainment, like, they knew a good deal because it was only like $15 million. Like, now with, like, inflation and everything just being so darn expensive, like, animated movies are like 10 times that expensive at least. So they got a good deal, and it looks good for even for 15 mil. This actually looks really good. I mean, I say that like that's nothing, which is more money than I'd ever see in my entire life, but. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So the movie picks up. We have Daffy and Porky, who are raised by Farmer Jim, who is like almost
Creepy.
literally a cardboard cutout, and I'm pretty sure he was designed to look like a Nick Offerman parody. Who raises them and one day just walks off into the sunset and disappears. But he tells our boys, he says, guys, everything will be okay as long as you stick together and always take care of our home. And literally he disappears. There's no other metaphor for it. He doesn't even walk. They literally just move the cardboard cutout into the sun.
Again, 15 mil.
So Daffy and Porky now have this house. Unfortunately, they're getting a house inspection to see if it's still suitable. So it's just like plaster as much of the house together as they can to keep it from looking like it's falling apart. And everything looks okay, except there's a giant hole in their roof because a meteor crashed down the other night and they somehow didn't bother to notice that there's a giant hole in the roof. Apparently they forgot, oh yeah, we don't have a skylight. So the home inspector tells them, come up with the money, fix your roof, or I'm condemning the property, and it's going to get torn down, and you'll be homeless. So they start looking for jobs, and it goes just about as well as you would hope. Porky starts doing things well, and then Daffy lets out the looniness, and they get fired. So they're having trouble finding it, and they come across Petunia Pig. It's always fun to see Petunia actually getting some relevance. I feel like she was often a character who just got shoved in to the Looney Tunes numbers when it was like, oh yeah, we need a girl. Okay, so we got Granny, Penelope Pussycat, and Petunia Pig, and that's literally it.
Granny.
I said Granny.
Oh, you did? Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Petunia is a scientist working at the Gooey Gum Factory. She's trying to perfect the perfect flavor. And she points out that they got this new gum release coming out, Strongberry. And she says, we're going to need more help with the factory. So she gets them jobs. And they get jobs, and everything seems to be okay until Daffy sees this one scientist who doesn't seem to have all of his marbles functioning, pouring some green goo into the gum supply. Daffy tries to tell Porky. Porky's like, you're being paranoid. Chill out. But Daffy soon after realizes that anyone who chews this new gum turns into a zombie. And he shows up at the launch party with, it's the mayor, right? It's the mayor of the
mayor.
town.
Yeah, the one voiced by Wayne Knight.
Doing his second Looney Tunes movie. I love Wayne Knight as a voice actor. I always love hearing his voice. I think he's hilarious.
I met him at the supermarket. He is also a very nice guy.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Daffy shows up, grabs the mic. He's like, they're turning it all into zombies. It's like and I'm sure Porky's sitting there going, oh, this looks great. He gets arrested because no one believes him. They both get fired. And Porky has to surrender all of the money that they were saving for the roof to bail him out of jail. Fun fact, actually, nice little Easter egg. Did you recognize the piggy bank that they had the money in?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I forgot, but it was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's the piggy bank from the Great Piggy Bank Robbery, one of Bob Clampett's absolute best cartoons, in my opinion.
That was a masterpiece.
Yeah, I was like, it's a mint green piggy bank with pink flowers. Oh my God, someone did their research. So Daffy asked Petunia to investigate a sample of the gum, and it turns out that yes, that thing does have an alien in it, and it's trying to take them over. They manage to destroy it, and they get an idea on how to get rid of the gum that's controlling people's minds. Essentially, they have to get them to spit the gum out, and then they can burn it. And Miss Flavor Scientist has it's a rotten egg scent. And it's like, spray that. The people instinctively spit the gum out.
It's like some sort of exploding rotten egg thing.
Yeah, people spit the gum out, and then they can burn the gum. And it looks like it's going to work, but Porky starts thinking about all the times Daffy lost their jobs because he got Looney. And he's like, you know what? Maybe Petunia and I should go and take care of this. And you sit here and lay the eggs. Because male ducks lay eggs in the Looney Tunes world. Who knew?
Maybe talking ducks do. I know. I'm not a scientist.
They do bring this up later when Daffy yells, it's like, do you know how hard it is for a male duck to lay eggs? And I'm just like, wow, careful with that lampshade there, guys.
With the price of eggs right now, laying them sounds a lot cheaper.
That it does. So Porky and Petunia go out, and they manage to get most of the people to spit out their gum, but then Daffy tries to step in, and he accidentally destroys their weaponry, the sprayer and the flamethrower, and so they're just like, oh, forgot. And then Petunia gets captured and infected and turned into a mega gum zombie, which was actually kind of creepy looking. Like her head is covered with the gum, her limbs are covered with the gum. Frankly, if you just like saw the outline, you would think it was like from an illustration of The Thing. Very John Carpenter-esque.
Yeah.
And after she's captured, Porky and Daffy are abducted by the invader, this guy who's the evil alien who's been planning this whole thing.
And no, he's not Marvin the Martian.
Actually, before we continue, do you think this movie would have been better if it had been Marvin the Martian?
For reasons you're probably going to get to, I'm going to say it would have been cool if it was him, but for reasons with his character later, I could see why they didn't include him.
I could see that. It would have, although, yeah, it would have been like the ultimate Duck Dodgers reunion. And I think that could have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
So Porky and Daffy are now in prison on the spaceship, and the alien, the invader, starts plan 2. Now that he's got almost all of Earth under control and chewing the strong berry gum, he gets them all to simultaneously blow bubbles, big old gum bubbles. Mm-hmm. My secret shame, I've never been able to blow a bubble with bubble gum. Never been able to.
But also, I had braces for 8 years, so that really put me off of gum.
I had braces too for a long time. Yeah, you realize when you don't chew gum for a really long time, you kind of lose interest in it.
Yeah.
So, but they all blow, and these giant bubbles connect to one another, and the Earth is enclosed in a giant gum bubble.
They really should have done a tie-in with some sort of bubble gum.
No, I don't know. I think that would have ended up being like the what was it, like the Krispy Kreme's tie-in with the Power Rangers movie. I think it would have induced more eye rolls.
I see.
So Daffy and Porky, of course, they fight because you have the whole, it's like, yeah, I told you to stay behind because I knew you'd screw it up. What do you mean I'd screw it up? You're a lousy friend. Bicker, bicker, bicker. Third act. But then they quickly reconcile, and they manage to escape confinement because they start crying, and it's huge amounts of tears, and the tears short circuit the laser bars. And they manage to get Petunia free, and they also break the scientist who has been the whole time under the alien control. This is the one who put the green goo in the gum in the first place. They managed to free him, and they pop the bubble around Earth, only for the invader to kind of cut to the chase and say, oh my God, why did you do this? I was trying to save the Earth because there's a giant asteroid coming to wipe you guys all out, all of the dinosaurs.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got a pun. I guess they got themselves in a sticky situation.
Sorry. You get one.
Okay,
you get one.
And I used it well.
Very good. So, yeah, there's a giant asteroid hurling toward Earth. If the gum bubble was still around Earth, it would have bounced away. And so they start thinking, and Porky remembers that Petunia has made this exploding gum. It's literally explodes with flavor, taking your head off in the process. And they find a weak spot in the asteroid, and Daffy, Porky, and Petunia go in with all the gum, and they have this surplus of wind-up novelty teeth, those chattering teeth toys that we used to see all the time. And they're going to have them chew the gum. Yeah, this is a little absurd, guys.
We're reviewing a Looney Tunes movie, right?
Yeah, but I'm serious. It's like trying to explain. It's like, okay, so they have this exploding gum that literally explodes, and then they got the novelty wind-up teeth, and they're going to have it chew the gum, and that's going to make it explode, and it's going to take the asteroid out with it. But then the teeth fail because they stupidly put them in a domino effect, so they all get knocked over. And Porky realizes the only option they have is he tells Daffy, I need you to go loony. And he gives Daffy his mallet back, and Daffy goes classic Bob Clampett, Tex Avery style loony, which knocks all these stalactites and into... Okay, stalactites are up and stalagmites are on the bottom, right?
There's like a hole in the bottom, of the stalagmites are on top. And there was a lot going on in this movie.
I'm trying not to sound like an idiot, because basically the stalactites and the stalagmites, I don't know what's on the top, what's on the bottom, but they start colliding, and that's chews the gum with the rocks acting as teeth.
Yeah.
But when they try to escape, Daffy gets stuck to the rock with the gum, and Porky refuses to leave his side. And so the asteroid goes kablooey. Petunia manages to get off in time. Porky and Daffy didn't make it. Oh, shudder. And they return to Earth, and everyone's celebrating, and a freaking loose chunk of rock from the asteroid falls right in front of where everyone is, and lo and behold, Porky and Daffy are attached to it. And everyone's happy. Porky and Daffy's house has been destroyed. I completely forgot to even mention that part. I'm sorry. But before it was destroyed, Porky had pocketed this framed picture of them with Farmer Jim. And they see this vision of Farmer Jim, and he says, look at the back of the photo. And they do. And lo and behold, Farmer Jim took out a home insurance policy, because if you're going to have Porky and Daffy living in your house, a decent insurance policy is probably a smart move. And it's literally for $5 million. So they rebuild the house into this gorgeous mansion, and the end. This is such a surreal, fun movie.
It is. I was expecting a normal movie with dead serious and so I did not get that. But if you judge it like you just said, it is a really fun time.
Admittedly, trying to explain the plot it's one of those, it's like trying to read the plot and explain the plot is not going to do this film justice. No. I know I sound like I'm like sitting going, oh my God, I can't believe I have to say these words, shoot me. But the movie is fun. It's very absurd. And frankly, it works better. The plot works better on a film than it does in a plot description. So forgive me for sounding like I don't care, because I do.
Yeah.
So, Zachary, why don't you go ahead and go first and tell me your thoughts on the movie?
Well, first of all, I know we mentioned the name Bob Clampett a lot, and for those who are not familiar with him or like the history of Looney Tunes, he was one of the original directors in the 30s, and he was a director. I don't know exactly what year in the 30s, but he was basically like Looney Tunes, like of yore in the 30s. They were basically just like Disney was trying to like push the medium of animation to look as realistic and beautiful. And Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes was just like, 37. Thank you, Retro Cat. He basically was like, he was doing cartoons in black and white, and they were pretty surreal. They were just like, you know what? Let's just use the medium of animation. Just make whatever we think is funny. We could just do jokes. We can use what we wouldn't be able to do in live action. And Clampett really liked that. He was very rubbery, very surreal with his animation. And then in 1942, he just lost his freaking mind and just made some of the most violent, like, I mean it, like, he, like, made, like, these cartoons, like, everything was made out of rubber. They were loud. They were violent. It's, like, something you'd see more on Ren and Stimpy than you'd see, like, in, like, a traditional, like, 40s cartoon. Like, and the good thing about it is, and this is not a promotion or anything, but I grew up, a lot of Clampett's cartoons are in the public domain. You could find them on VHS tapes with really bad cover art, or you could watch them for free on YouTube. So not now because we're in a review, but after the review, like, just get an idea. So that's why this movie has a very like Bob Clampett, very Ren and Stimpy kind of feel to it. Like, even Clampett's real life daughter actually makes a voice cameo in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
She
does.
She does. She's the waitress at Clampett's Diner.
Yeah, the two big name drops were Clampett's Diner and Texas Tea Shop,
which were great.
But Clampett's style was essentially the groundbreaker that got Warner Brothers out of Disney's shadow. When Warner Brothers first started up with Merry Melodies, obviously they were trying to mimic Silly Symphonies, and the earliest cartoons that they did were very safe, very cutesy, and very Disney. It was clear that they were trying to fall in Disney's shadow. It was Clampett who broke out with, Retro Cat here has given us some examples: Falling Hair, Corny Concerto, Tale of Two Kitties. I also think about, we mentioned the Great Piggy Bank Robbery. Blah. Oh God, what were some of his others?
We said Tale of Two Kitties. What else was good? What was the one with Big Chungus? He directed that one.
Wabbit Twubble, I think. He was the one who gave us Chunky Elmer Fudd. There's another one, where Elmer's going out prospecting for gold, and he did that one.
That one I saw so many times. Is it on here? No, it's...
he did. I think it's one of the Cecil Tortoise versus Bugs Bunny race ones. There were three of them. Friz Freleng did one, Tex Avery did another, and Clampett did the one where Bugs suffers the mother of all breakdowns. And Retro. Well, thank you, Retro, for being our Wikipedia source today.
You are our hero.
Yeah. And Tortoise Wins by a Hair, 1943. Very good. Yeah, that was Tortoise Wins by a Hair, I think, was the one that always stood out to me as being very Bob Clampett-esque, because Bugs just loses his mind. He's screaming, he is gnashing his teeth, he's throwing a fit. I
think Clampett really, like, he kind of made Bugs kind of like where Bugs Bunny could kind of lose sometimes.
Yeah.
Very early in his development.
Yeah, you got Falling Hair where he goes up against the gremlin. That's Bob Clampett did not always want Bugs to win. He liked giving Bugs an adversary that he couldn't just easily take care of, like Elmer Fudd. It was just like, no, this is a challenge.
Yeah. But the reason I bring him up is because this movie is very inspired by, if you love those old cartoons, thank you again. But it's like this movie, it feels like we don't get a lot of movies. Like, movies are now, like, especially for kids, are just so safe. And this movie is a hard PG. If this movie came out in 1983, I'm sure it would be rated PG. I don't think it's like it walks that tightrope of PG and PG-13, but like now, like the freaking second Paw Patrol movie got rated. Oh, I said Paw Patrol and Your Dog Barked. That's actually pretty funny. Like that movie got a PG. I'm like, how? I don't want to watch to find out, but it's just, this movie is, I like that it took some risks, and I saw this in an audience. I saw this in a theater, and thankfully my audience, like I saw it, was very diverse. Like a lot of people of different ages and everyone was laughing. It was really fun to see everyone just have a good time, and that's really what this movie is, a really good time. I mean, we don't get movies like this, especially on the big screen, like where it's just screw it, we do whatever we want. I mean, yes, there's emotional core, and it does take itself a little seriously, but as it should, because a movie that just says screw it the whole time, it would be boring after a while. But in a lot of movies, you know, they usually run out of steam by the end. Like even in the middle, I was like, but then it double downs on like the energy and the looniness, for lack of a better term. But it really shows that the people who made this movie, well, I mean, because it also depends on your tolerance of cartoon humor. And like if you like movies like Hot Shots or those classic parody movies, like those were live action and this is actually animated. Like if you don't like this movie, then A, why are you watching this? And B, it's like it will also depend on how much you like. But I really like I was a joy to see this on a big screen, like just 2D animation. I just missed it, man. I really missed seeing something that was like drawn by hand or computer, or looked like it was drawn by hand.
Absolutely. It has been so long since we've seen a 2D traditional animation film on the big screen, and it still looks great. And it is so sad that studios don't think that there's any profit to be had in these. That they think it's like, no, we should just stick with 3D. This is kind of, it's like, no, this stuff still has its charms, and it's still so much fun. Unfortunately, you know, we've had to deal with the fact that Warner Brothers is really coming down on Looney Tunes. Which did we have anything else to talk about the movie, or should we go ahead?
No, I wanted to say it was good. Obviously, I think for what they had, I think there's enough polish in the animation. Obviously, I would have liked if, first of all, Eric Bauza, great voice actor, but I wish they got Bob Bergen to be, like, he is perfect as Daffy. Like, it's like a combination of Mel's, like when Daffy has to be like Looney, like he really captures Mel's energy. And when he's talking, he really captures Joe Lasky's energy. So it's like a mesh of the two. And I like his Porky too. But it's just like, and I never believed, since they usually spent a lot of the movie talking to each other, I know this, but I never thought, okay, this is one guy in a room talking to himself, doing different voices. Like, no, he actually did. Like, when he was talking to him and he was being emotional, I believed him. Like, but, you know, I mean, Bob Bergen, man, he should have taken over, but I know then they didn't have to pay another voice actor, so.
Yeah, I agree with you. Eric Bauza's Porky is good. I at no point did I sit there going like, oh my God, why the hell did they let this guy, voice Porky? But Bob Bergen has been doing Porky for years. There's a great documentary about voice acting that one of my favorite interviews with him, when he talks about voicing Porky and the rhythm of how you voice him, because it's not just adding a stutter to every other word. He said there's almost like a musical progression on how you highlight certain parts of it and compose it, and no one else can do what I can do, and that's why I have job security.
But yeah, I just really think they used their money and their time well and their story well, and obviously cared for it. Like, because it's like when you draw something, like for the same amount of money, you can draw it at an angle like this. It's very cinematic. Like, I'm glad they knew they were making a movie, so it's like the cinematography, the shadow work is good. They're paying homage to those 1950s sci-fi movies.
Very much so. I do also want to add, probably my favorite part of the movie, we get a little stylized, almost kind of like a music video part when they're working at the gum factory to one of my all-time favorite compositions that has ever been used in Looney Tunes, Powerhouse by Raymond Scott. If you're a Looney Tunes fan, you know who Raymond Scott is. You know Powerhouse. You've heard it 1,000 times. It's just a classic, timeless musical piece, and I love that they included that in this film. I love that, like I said, they do this very stylized animation with Porky and Daffy working in the factory to this song, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful animation. It's got a real Art Deco feel to it, which works with the style and the music, and I love that sequence. I know that scene had actually dropped online when this film first was given its premiere at the film festival, because I remember seeing this before, and this was used to how to build up, hype people, say, check out this film. It's got this scene in it. You need to check this out.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Pink Elephants from Dumbo.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Dumbo. But no, I really recommend the movie. For anyone who just wants a good time, like it didn't hold back with the humor. Like it actually was really, like I laughed. I'm sure you probably groaned, but I laughed during the twerking scene.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I could go my whole life without seeing Daffy Duck twerk.
Me too, but isn't that just not a life worth living?
That and the boba tea joke. So, we mentioned that the alien, the invader, said he was trying to save the Earth. He mentions before, it's like he wants Earth for its precious resource. And of course, we all know the precious resource is going to be something silly. We could see it coming a mile away. Yeah. And it turns out that the precious resource that he's in love with is boba tea. And I groaned very, very loud at that part.
I like it when someone was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like a snot bubble."
That's actually why I don't like boba tea. It's a texture thing. Okay. I really cannot handle the texture. So, yeah, if you like boba, that's fine. I'm not gonna say like, "Ew, it's disgusting. Why would anyone drink?" It's like, no, if you like it, you like it. For me, the texture kind of sets me off. So, to each their own.
Don't boba fret over it.
What'd you say?
I said, don't boba fret over it. I have no regrets.
No, I know you don't, but I told you only got one of the rim shots.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, this film kind of went through a post-production hell with Warner Brothers, essentially saying they didn't want anything to do with it. And this is something that's been popping up a lot if you follow animation news. Warner Brothers, since being taken over by David Zaslav, who oversaw the merge of Warner Brothers with Discovery. Oh, look, this RetroCrap person clearly knows you, Zach.
Yeah, he's my bro.
Unfortunately, Warner Brothers has shown they really don't. This new person who's in charge of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, has clearly shown that he is not interested in saving animation. This film got lucky that it was saved thanks to Ketchup Entertainment, because other animated films, even the ones that were in post-production that were... I'm sorry, is RetroCat your cousin?
I don't even know anymore, but... He's awesome. That's a good one.
Okay, so shortly after taking over, one of the big announcements was that a film that was in the middle of production, I believe it was almost done and getting into post-production, a little film titled Coyote versus Acme, which would have seen Wile E. Coyote launching a lawsuit against the Acme Corporation, as he should.
About time.
Also starring John Cena, Will Forte, and a few others. It had been like I said, they were adding in the post-production. It was getting early screens for feedback. Apparently, it had gotten really good early feedback. Zaslav shelved it, and not just shelved it. It is a tax write-off. which means that they basically said, we will make more money writing this off than we will actually distributing this. The only way then that Warner Brothers gets any money is if that movie never sees the light of day. It is locked in a can, in a safe, in the bottomless pit, somewhere in Atlantis, never to be found again.
In the Warner Brothers vault.
Oh, they're not even putting it in the vault. They're putting it in like in the vault that goes in the vault that goes in the vault. This thing is buried. And it's a lot of people have been absolutely furious about it. So again, not only did this movie receive positive early feedback, but there were so many people who were working on this movie, not just the actors. You had tons of people working in production, on the sets, special effects, visual effects artists, who are now never going to see their work come to life. That's not the only film that got canned. They also canned an animated Scooby-Doo movie. I believe it was going to be kind of like a prequel to the animated Scooby-Doo Blue Falcon movie that came out a few years ago.
Masterpiece.
And recently, you know what? I will actually go ahead and bring this in. This was an article that got shared earlier today.
I'm in the corner.
I'm in the corner too. All Looney Tunes shorts have been removed from HBO Max. Now, previously, they've gone back and forth on how many cartoons they've had on this website. It's gone from having like nearly the entire Looney Tunes encyclopedia. I will admit, unfortunately, Pepe Le Pew and Speedy Gonzales shorts are probably not going to get a wide release ever again. Thank you, Twitter. But now it is all Looney Tunes shorts. All of the classic ones are gone. And this really does feel like it's an attack on animation lovers. A lot of people have said that one of their favorite things to have on Max was access to these classic cartoons. They do still have a handful of classic series on there. Tom and Jerry's still on there. I believe Flintstones, Jetsons, a couple of others. But it really feels like Looney Tunes, for me, has always been the backbone of Warner Brothers Entertainment, and it really doesn't feel right for them not to offer it at all.
Yeah, like even for a while, like Bugs Bunny was their mascot. Like, or like if you saw something from Warner Brothers Family Entertainment, you would always. I'm too lazy to get another prop, but it's but he would be floating in the shield in the sky, as I call it, defying laws of physics, eating a carrot. I mean, they had that. He was their. It's like if Disney was just like, you know what? No more Mickey Mouse. No more Mickey Mouse forever because I don't like him. Like that's
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Imagine, Disney Plus removing all of their classic Disney shorts.
All 5 of them, yeah. But at least they're there.
No, they have more than 5. They got a decent amount. They could have more. I agree, they could have more, but they've got a decent amount of classic Mickey and Donald and Goofy shorts on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it looks like the day the Earth blew up was saved. Here, I'll go ahead and remove that because they kept their production costs so low that they realized they weren't going to get anything from a tax write-off. But why do you think this animosity against Looney Tunes? Why do you think this animosity against animation?
Maybe they just see it as like a dated, like it's not new and it's not maybe too niche, which I could understand. Like I feel like it's old. Kids don't like Looney Tunes, which first of all, did you see how much, I know this isn't the good representation of the characters, but the second Space Jam, which I did not like, by the way, but I saw because I'm a teacher. I'm an elementary. At the time I was an elementary school teacher, and I saw a bunch of kids like wearing like space like Looney Tunes shirts and like LeBron like backpack. Like it was pretty good. I thought then. Like, I'm like, even though I didn't like the movie, I thought it would be like, okay, we're getting this resurgence again. Maybe the kids will be like, oh, my parents, I grew up with Looney Tunes. Maybe we could watch it on Max. Like that. Obviously, we know that now, but that's why I thought, like, okay, it's a way to get kids interested. Like, Oh, this is kind of funny. I'll keep it short. I was actually drawing. Like I had some extra time in my art class, and I drew. I play this game. It's called Guess the Character. So I draw. See, basically, wasn't here.
Yeah, a little quote from Princess Ichigo. This reminds me for a while in the mid to late 2000s when Cartoon Network basically wasn't airing Looney Tunes, yet they were still rerunning Tom and Jerry, as opposed to now when they're just rerunning Teen Titans Go all frickin' day.
Well, yeah, that's true. But also, Looney Tunes at that point in 2000s, early 2000s, they were also very, very critical about the box office failure of Back in Action, which they didn't advertise, obviously, because Matrix took priority at the time. But anyway, I was drawing it. I always play Guess the Character, and I draw it really fast and see if the kids can guess who I'm drawing. And I was drawing Bugs Bunny. It was very hard to draw once you get the hang of him. Anyway, so I was drawing him, and he's like, "Oh, it's Space Jam." I'm like, "Is that what you think this character's name is now?" But he's like, "No, I saw him in the movie Space Jam." And these are little kids, so I understand it. But like I said, I thought Space Jam and the 2020 Looney Tunes cartoons would be a resurgence, but obviously, yeah.
Yeah, Retro Cat just agreeing with you there. So.
Yeah. And also I saw some of the shorts, like they leaked online or on the Larry Doyle shorts, which I could have lived without. So, but it's just throw the classics on, but it's just like, just get rid of them all. It's just kind of a jerk move.
Well, RetroCat also brings up something here talking about the Golden Collection needing to check the volumes for disc rot, which is a problem I've been having, unfortunately.
I haven't had any issue. Oh, wait. Sorry. VHS for life.
One of these days, you're going to bring out a freaking Betamax, and I'm just going to want to go hang myself. No, I bought the Golden Collections when they were first released, and I love them, and I watched them over and over and over and over. I actually bought the first 3 Golden Collections at the Warner Brothers Studio store when I was doing an internship in LA.
Oh, nice. The
one I loved it. Sorry?
Was it in Burbank?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I actually got this shirt, which if you can't see me.
Nice.
Which I was going to do a bit. I was like, I don't want to wear this shirt anymore, but I don't want this video to be demonetized, so I'll keep it on.
Now, Looney Tunes have always been a huge part of my life. My dad has a Marvin the Martian tattoo in my honor.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, my discs are, as RetroCat put it, suffering from disc rot. They are well over 15 years old, almost 20 years old. God, I'm aging, kill me. And they're not playing well. I actually really hate the Golden Collection Volume 4 is one of my favorite commentaries on it. It's Paul Dini talking about Operation Rabbit. That was the first crossover between Wile E. Coyote and Bugs Bunny. It's one of my favorite cartoons, and Paul Dini does an absolutely hilarious commentary talking about it. And that disc is so scratched up, so worn, so overplayed, I can't play it. That's also the same disc that has the Raymond Scott documentary on it. I can't play that either, and I hate that. And unfortunately, we do not live in a world where you could just call the manufacturer and say, I just want one disc. I don't want to buy the whole set. I just want one disc. I can't get that. Mm-hmm. So unless these new Platinum Collection releases that are coming out on Blu-ray have the same interviews, which I doubt they're going to, considering that Raymond Scott interview also contains quotes from John Kay, who I think Warner Brothers really wants to distance themselves from.
There was a prop on standby when I read.
Of course, it was.
Yeah, I was like, when can I use the prop? But yeah, I didn't want to bring up that monster's name.
Yeah, like I said, he did contribute to that one, to that interview. This was before they realized the truth. So obviously, I don't think that one's going to get put on there. So yeah, I always hear people say it's like, well, you should just make sure you have, classic media because streaming's not always available. It's like, guys, classic media isn't always going to last either.
So you got to reissue. Mm-hmm. So you got to care about your properties.
But it's becoming abundantly clear that Warner Brothers doesn't care about reissuing a lot of this stuff. They just don't care.
They don't care. They see it as old and niche, and you know what? And I'm old and niche, but you know what? I still stay around, and that's important.
How old are you again?
What?
How old are you again?
Old enough to party, 35.
Don't call yourself old, dude. I'm 5 years older than you.
Okay. But yeah, just no, it is a shame, and it's just because the thing is, Looney Tunes, like I said, was important to just American and Western animation. It was because if we didn't have Looney Tunes, honestly, I mean, probably this trend would have ended, but animation wouldn't be funny. It was like, hey, you know what? When I think of a cartoon, I mean, yeah, I think of the classical stuff of Disney, but someone say, hey, you know what? You're acting pretty cartoonishly. You're going to think of something like Looney Tunes. You're going to think of something like really wacky, anything could happen. Like, they started that, you know? I know maybe that happened in the 20s, but it was like in color. But, you know, they did it with such grace. And you know what? These characters are, I mean, like, we're still talking about Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. And this has been around for 95 years. You know, if you want to, you know what? You're depriving a lot of people. And you know what? Max is just not looking good. It's like, why? Like, it's expensive. And you know what? They're just going to get rid of everything eventually. So why bother?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I think on that note, let's go ahead and move on. Now, normally, if you are a frequent watcher of Damn You Hollywood, we normally move on to a little thing we like to call the money, where we talk about the box office returns. However, this is not the first Damn You Hollywood this week. Mr. Mark Radulich and Robert Winfrey discussed Novocaine last night. That was the wider release. And they went over the money. So if you want to check out the box office reviews, I humbly suggest you go check out their video. We're going to move on to the next step, which is called the critical review.
But
are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All right. Right now, Rotten Tomatoes, this actually looks pretty good. Sitting about 86% from critics, 88% from audiences. Verified top critics 87 to all 6. Verified audience to all audience is the same. So yeah, people are genuinely liking this.
as they should. I know I shouldn't tell people what to think, but they should like this.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look, see if we can find some critical reviews that we can make fun of.
Hooray!
As soon as my computer decides to work. Sorry, internet has been horribly, horribly slow.
I was just going to say the movie, it's even on a small budget. I just wanted to say it wasn't. So, I mean, if you want to see it, now would be a pretty good time to see it.
Yeah, unfortunately, film is probably going to be the first one that gets kicked out. It's already on very limited screens, which is not only because we've had a couple of big wide releases, and we've got another one with Snow White coming out next week. We have also seen theaters bringing in a lot of the films that won the Oscars. Anora is getting a re-release. The Brutalist is getting a re-release. I'm Still Here is finally seeing a wider release. So it's getting really hard for this movie to stay in theaters. The day that I went to go see it on Saturday for its opening weekend, there were only 4 showings. So, all right, let's see if we can find Rob Gonzalez from Rob's Movie Vault saying sporadically funny at best, giving it a C.
That's kind of, I know it's a rotten, but even he admits it's funny. Radically, but funny.
It's like, sorry, you didn't find the whole thing funny, and you literally counted the amount of times you laughed. Alex Nguyen from Spectrum Culture. The day the Earth blew up, a Looney Tunes movie struggles to juggle the rapid-fire cartoon humor emblematic of its predecessors with a singular narrative that ties the jokes together.
You know, this movie's like an hour and a half long. You know that. It's not a 6-minute cartoon.
Yeah. And there is a singular narrative. It's called Alien Invasion. Kyle Smith from the Wall Street Journal, top critic, says the near dozen writers veer between ungainly slapstick, so-so meta humor, trite cultural references, desperate puns, and occasional jarring vulgarity that can be called despicable. Jarring vulgarity, if that's what you're calling the twerking Daffy Duck scene, then please do us a favor and go crawl back under whatever rock you're living under. Because I literally cannot think of any other scene in this movie that would be called vulgarity. Can you?
No, I don't think so. That was the peak of cinema right there.
All right. Oh, for the love of God. I've mentioned this before, but this is a new thing that Rotten Tomatoes does, that when you hit load more, it doesn't like take you to the top of a new page. It just loads more, but it puts you at the bottom. So now you got to scroll back up and go, wait, where was I? So,
and we're like watching our reviews. I'm like, well, no, it would be funny if we did that to mildly annoy Alexis.
Of course they did. Russ Simmons from KKFI Kansas City, my hometown. It's noisy, frenetic, and plays like it was written by a 7-year-old who drank way too many Mountain Dews. Sure. Josh Bell, the Inlander from Spokane, Washington. A mostly forgettable outing for a few classic Looney Tunes characters that struggles to justify its existence as a feature film. I think this guy was mad that Bugs didn't get a cameo or something.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? Support the movie. We might get a Coyote movie. We might get a Bugs Bunny movie, but movie's got to do well.
See, I'm actually grateful this film wasn't overloaded with cameos. The last thing that I think would have made this movie better would have been just too much fodder for the audience. It gets to the point, I always think back to the first Space Jam movie and the scenes where they're at the actual basketball game and you have all the cameos in the background. And I think it became too much. It started turning into a, spot the reference kind of a thing. And we saw that again with the new Space Jam movie where they started bringing in all of the Warner Brothers properties into the background.
Yes, with all the very good Spirit costumes. It was just like, they were just extras. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Comment from James. Do you know how to pronounce that last name? Because I apologize, James. I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Hi, James.
But apparently you're a friend of Zach, saying that Me TV Tunes is still running the Warner cartoons, and thank God for that.
Yes, thank goodness for Me TV and the corporation that does that.
Glenn Kenny from the New York Times, again, top critic. The movie's energy doesn't pay off in dividends of real pleasure.
Yeah.
Some of these reviewers, I swear to God, they're trying to sound much more clever than they actually are. And I read a review like that. Payoff in dividends of real pleasure. It's like,
sorry, pleasure. No, that sounds worse. I was trying to phrase. See, I can do it too. I won't.
And I don't know. Just so it's like in dividends of real pleasure. It's like I'm getting no pleasure from your writing, let alone this movie.
Someone got a thesaurus for Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. It's like, quit trying to be clever. Okay, dude.
Yeah.
And let's end off here with Al Alexander with Movies Through the Spectrum. It's undeniably colorful and nostalgic, but I'm afraid to quote Porky. That's all, folks. Again, stop trying to be clever. You fail at it.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, guys, go check this film out. It's not going to be in theaters for very long because, unfortunately, Disney is going to be buying up all of the screens this coming weekend for Snow White. And be sure to come back next week, this coming Monday, because Mark Radulich, Robert Winfrey, and I will be reviewing it and just talking about what a dumpster fire this film is going to be. I'm sorry, I have seen nothing in the trailers or the advertising or the opening press releases the fact that Disney's not even doing a critic screening of this movie. And
Yeah.
and anyone who has worked in the critics business knows that when a studio says, you know what, we're not going to do a critic screening, that means they have no faith in this film.
No.
That is literally what it means. It is like they are trying desperately to make sure that the audience doesn't find out this movie sucks before it's released. They want to make sure people still buy their tickets.
Yeah, I remember I'm a big fan of, one of my heroes is Leonard Maltin.
Mhm.
And he does a live show with him and his daughter. And he was like, I'm going to go see Snow White on Tuesday. His daughter's like, gives him like a long silence. Like, why are you doing that? And he's like, I'm curious. And that was just, and he didn't go into any more detail. So, I mean, but no, this is like what, the 30th live action, Disney live action? I think we know where it's going at this time.
Pretty much. I mean, we just got the new trailer dropped for the Lilo and Stitch live action.
They're not even waiting anymore. They're just like, we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna annoy Alexis, Mark, and Robert. Just, you know what? That's why they do it. What if it's a plot twist? What if they make all these awful movies just so we can review them? Just something to think about.
They've done far worse in their lives to annoy us than these live action remakes. But no, I'm sorry. Look, the original Snow White is the classic. It's not a classic. It is the classic. But I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong, and this could be an amazing film. But I have seen nothing so far to make me think that. So,
well, the actress who plays the evil queen, she's pretty good.
Well, that's actually part of the joke, is that Gal Gadot, who, is a great actress, playing the evil queen. Everyone's saying, like, in what universe is she prettier than or is she not as pretty as the actress playing Snow White?
Yeah, I know. I actually kind of want her to win. Don't spoil how it ends, but I kind of want her to win in the movie. What did the dwarves look like, you know?
Either way, tune in next week. We're going to be taking a look at that. We got some more reviews. Like I said, the guys just reviewed Novocaine yesterday. That's on our archives. Go check that out. Trying to actually find where the next batch of shows are, and I am not pulling up anything else. So I do know we got some more TV party tonight coming up here pretty soon. We are getting Andor Season 2 coming out soon. We're going to have Andrew Roscoe and David Wright joining me on that one. We have a new show coming out on Amazon Prime called The Bondsman with Kevin Bacon. Mark Radulich and I are going to review that one together. Looks like a lot of fun. So be sure to come on back in. And of course, the next anything new animated coming out, I know Zachary and I will be there ready to go. I do also know that you are coming in for something not animated. You have requested to sit in for when the new Final Destination film comes out.
Yes, gory Looney Tunes. And I've always called them gory Looney Tunes. Like if an anvil dropped on someone's head and their brains and their gut, would you really be surprised in that franchise?
No, not at all. No, you see, I gave you my spot on that because every time I watch the first two Final Destinations, I loved. But anyone after that, I watch these death contraptions go into play, and I hear do you remember the Mousetrap board game?
Yeah.
And the commercials with that jingle? I hear the jingle in my head.
It's a zing. I don't want to sing it because I don't want to get copyright struck.
Mousetrap, I guarantee it's great. Yeah, that's all I hear because just how contrived these death traps are.
Well, the first two are good. The third one is awful. I will not defend it. It is an awful movie. Fourth one is a guilty pleasure. It is so stupid. Even the director knows it was stupid, but it is so that could have been a live action Looney Tune movie itself. It's so loony. The fifth one tries to bring it back to like the senses of the first two. And I'm sure the sixth one will probably, I don't know where the sixth one falls into play in the timeline, but something to look forward to.
Yeah, the fifth one ends on the plane from the first movie, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which was a good twist, by the way.
Oh yeah, I
They
give
were
credit
really
to
good
that.
hiding it.
But yeah, Mr. Strobel is going to be sitting in for a horror review to discuss that one. So I'm glad you're going to be bringing in something different for that. So I hope you have fun with it.
My one favorite, the only one I can actually. I'm not a horror guy. I think the real world is too scary on its own. So it's good to see something that I at least am like, hey, this one's okay.
Yeah, if you want horror, you usually get myself, Robert Winfrey, and Jason Teasley. We are the go-to horror junkies. So what else we got here? Okay, so the week after Snow White, the guys are going to be returning to discuss A Working Man. I believe that's the new Jason Statham film. I give credit to Jason Statham. He is like the last remnant of the 90s action star. He is the last of the Stallones, the Schwarzeneggers.
And I could semi understand what he says.
Yeah. So we got that. Let's see here. What else we got here? And after that, we're going to be, oh God, help us, discussing the Minecraft movie.
A Minecraft movie with Steve.
And I will be returning on April 16th to discuss The Bear season 3. Mark and I have been discussing The Bear the last two seasons. We do this one, we're finally caught up. So looking forward to that. So I think that's all we got at the moment. It's actually, things got really crazy hectic planning wise, and now they're finally starting to slow down a little bit. So, Mr. Strobel, I believe you have something to plug.
Yes. Hey, kids. Well, kids aren't watching this. We've already swore already too many times.
This is the moment you told me you wanted a larger screen, right?
Yes. Large screen and scene. Do you like 2D animation movies? Well, obviously, if you're watching this review, but if you'll notice, I actually wrote a book. This is my first book I've written in 5 years. It's called Blob and Krillium. You can actually get this book, and look, there's me. Oh, me on the cover. So I'm legit. But yes, with all seriousness, this is a book. We tried to make it look like a 2D animated movie, but it's a book. It's about 2 sea creatures, and I'm going to try to find a page without spoilers. But yeah, my friend Andrew Keiko and I worked really hard with Dave Alvarez, helped us with some of these, who actually has worked on Looney Tunes comics and some shows in the past. If you can look really carefully, you'll see we really tried to make it look like a 2D movie, which is actually kind of our goal. So the way you can help support us is to either go to Amazon.com, type in Blob and Krillium, or my name, Zachary Strobel. You can order this book. We actually have 3. Oh, let me keep it up. We actually have 3 voice actors who are very prominent in the field who want to help voice the main characters. But we need a lot of copies of this to be sold. And it's also just a really good book. It has really good messages. I know it's technically a kid's book, but the message we have really will resonate with a lot of adults too. I think so you can read these to your kids, and there's other books by me on there. But yeah, and every copy helps. I'm trying to look into how to do autograph copies, but if you want a copy autographed, just reach me out, and I'll definitely help you out. So again, Amazon.com, go to the search bar, type in Zachary Strobel and Blob and Krillium. Or if you don't want to do that, you can order all of my other books on Amazon. But yeah, so I just wanted to plug that.
All right, excellent. All right, and as far as the plugs that do pay my bills, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We are busting our butts getting ready because Planet Comic-Con is this weekend. This is our first big show. Looking forward to it. We always work this one. Got a lot of great guests coming in. David Tennant, Catherine Tate, Christopher Lloyd, Christina Ritchie, Helen Hunt just got announced as the last minute guest, bringing in for the 90s nostalgia viewers, I guess. So going to have a lot of fun. We're debuting a lot of brand new items. We're going to have our booth set up in the Crafters Alley, number 2839, I believe. Yeah, 2839. So if you're in the Kansas City area, be sure to swing on by. As always, if you can't, you can find us we have stores on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. We're not on Twitter. And as long as it's still up, TikTok. These days it's literally like just checking the news, like, okay, is TikTok still here? I don't know. All right. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. So for myself, from Mr. Zachary Strobel, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, check your chewing gum.
That's all, folks.